Good evening, everybody. Lumberjack Landlord here, ready to talk about evictions. Whew. If you are a landlord and you've only been a landlord for 5 years, you probably haven't dealt with an eviction. That's my guess. Unless you were dumb enough to be like me and work with the emergency rental assistance program that the government came up with, which was a total and complete nightmare. It was really funny because I was like, hey, I tried my hand at Section 8 and that went okay. I didn't love it, but I was like, you know what? But I knew that we were doing a better job of helping people. And so it was one of those things when the emergency rental assistance program came out during the great event. It was one of those things that I looked at and I just said, hey, you know what? They're in dire need. They have people that need housing. Like, we got to help these people out immediately. And so that's why we jumped in. Tried to help, tried to do our thing. And so we went down that path, and I've never had records so good as when evictions came up. They cut off funding for them basically 6 days before the December rent payment was due. And shockingly, 0 of them made December's rent payment. None of them had saved any money, whether they'd been on the program for 12 months or 18 months, whether they had gotten $24,000. I think the record that we had was somebody got $60,000 of free rent. You guessed it, $60,000 of free rent. It was unbelievable. And so all those things turned into evictions. It was absolutely crazy. But as we looked at the process, we were just like, I was like, man, it felt weird and it felt contrived, and it was, and more important, like the administrators. I love it when administrators of programs call themselves CEOs. I'm like, you're not a CEO at all. Like, what are you talking about? CEOs cast vision, but they also are working all of the knobs, levers, and everything they possibly can, because they have to help create revenue in order to pay the bills of the company, casting the vision, then funding the vision for growth. That's what CEOs are supposed to do. If you ever want to know what an elite CEO looks like, watch Gary Vee. The dude is absolutely awesome. I love the guy. There's nothing kitschy about him. Like, he's just like, no, do this. Like, do this. But he does it every day. And he's got $1 billion company. So yeah, do that. The guy's absolutely brilliant. Love him like a brother, even though I've never met him. But he has much the same kind of upbringing that I did. Very much so. But just a super awesome guy, or at least he seems so. But one of the interesting things is working with those administrators, they were absolute hot garbage. They were just absolute garbage. They never paid on time. And they paid 3 months at a time. So it's like, how could you not know how to pay on time? And then everything was then scrutinized from them to us. They're just like, well, we feel like you're overcharging us. And I would literally say to them, I said, you have no clue what you're talking about. I'm getting $700 heat bills because these people aren't paying for heat. I have to pay for heat. I'm getting $700 heat bills. The heat there normally is $250 in the worst part of winter when it's freezing out. But because they don't have jobs, they're home all the time. They're running up $700 heat bills. And every single time one of my workers goes over there to answer something else that they broke because they're constantly using everything, he's like, dude, I walk in the door and I'm instantly sweating. I'm like, that's when you know that you're paying a ton of money for nothing. Who doesn't love that? Unbelievable. So I say all that to say this. So now we're in a different part of the world, different time. And now we're starting to see more evictions. We're starting to see more evictions because all the stimmy bucks have run out. Like I've told you, this consumer is super stressed. I know this because I look at all their credit all the time. I see credit scores every single day. I see debt load every single day. I see incomes every single day. Why do I see that stuff every day? Because I'm a big enough landlord where I have 150 plus units and people are always applying for something. This was our season. We had a couple evictions that we just did. And that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about tonight. Because one of the things, please, if you're not following me, Lumberjack Landlord on Instagram, if you're not following me there, you need to be following me there because there is so much information there. And I literally, when I'm in the field, I don't take pictures and post them on YouTube. I take pictures and I post them on Instagram. So if you want to see a lot of times when I'm in the field, what's going on, I take the snapshots there and I give you the story of exactly what's happening so you guys can actually see what's occurring, what's going on. So what I would say to you is this, is that, I pride myself on tenant selection. It's one of the things that makes my course elite. It's one of the things that makes me elite because we do a really good job at tenant selection. And so we are so good at tenant selection that over the course of almost 25 years, I only have 30 evictions. I have over 5,000 tenant years. No one has numbers like me. Nobody. 5,000 tenant years is what I have. 5,000 tenant years. And if you're wondering how you count a tenant year, if you have 2 people on a lease, that's 2 tenant years for the year that they're there. If you have 4 people on a lease because they're all over 18, that's 4 tenant years. That's how you figure out a tenant year. So I have over 5,000 tenant years. No joke. And we accumulate, and now it's kind of supercharged. Now we're doing we have 800 tenant years per year now. So we'll hit over 6,000 this year again, or over 6,000 this year total. But I talked to you about the guns and the drugs and eviction. The reason why I wanted to bring this to you guys was because, again, we very rarely do eviction, very, very rarely. And so when we select a tenant, we take pride in who we're selecting. We recognize that it's now a team sport, that we work together, that we want to have communication, that we want to have not relationship from a perspective of we're going to spend time together, but that there's mutual respect there. There's good communication, mutual respect. And when something needs to get done, we respect them enough to tell them exactly what the time frame is. And this is what needs to be done. And we get somebody there and we take care of it. So that's why we have such a high renewal rate. Very, very, very often we're well into the 90% on rental renewals. And so if you're doing the math real quick in your head, that means that I might have, 12 to 15 vacancies a year. What we do is we do count numbers differently. The reason we count the numbers differently is this. If I'm taking over a building, I didn't select that tenant. I have no idea who they are, how good they are, if they're, if they're creepy, if they're crazy, if they're loon jobs. Well, I can tell you this building that I bought, when I bought it, I knew I bought a problem. The asset, the building itself, awesome. Building itself is awesome. The location's fantastic. The size of units is fantastic because they're big. They're basically big 1 bedrooms on the first floor. And on the second floor, they're 2 bedrooms. What was interesting is that the previous owner had it under rented because he was too lazy and he was absolutely a slumlord. Total crypto bro, only in it for the asset. Didn't give 2 rips about people, rode the train up, and then dumped the asset when he was like, yeah, I've made enough money on the asset. I'm ready to move on. Couldn't give 2 rips about the people that were there. And that was proven by the fact that 3 out of the 4 tenants that were in that building are gone. 3 out of the 4. And that was within 8 months of me, 6 months, 7 months of me owning it. And we don't push tenants out. That's not our deal. That's not our job. That's not what we do here. However, the building when I bought it had 3 Section 8 units and 1 regular unit. So in having 3 Section 8 units and 1 regular unit, for me, it was a way to grow my Section 8 part of my portfolio, which we like to have a percentage of the portfolio in a housing choice voucher program, which is usually between 15 and 20%. And then we have our other diversified tenant base. So we have 20 to 30% that are market tenants. We have 10 to 20% that are veterans or first responders, and then we have another 10 to 20% that are students. So there's flux up and down, plus or minus 5% on any of those that we actually go after. We also do retirees as well, because again, we want diversification not only of our assets, but we want diversification of our tenant base in those assets. It's very much the way Wall Street does and buys stock, right? They're buying the shorts and the longs because what they're trying to do is they're trying to just balance it out and make sure that they're covered either way. So as we follow through this process, right? So we've got these 4 units. Well, come to find out within 3 months, 4 months, no, actually within 3 months, we find out 2 of the 4 people, but 2 of the 3 people on housing choice vouchers lost their voucher. Here's something I don't like about the program. What I don't like about the program is, number 1, there was no disclosure whatsoever why they lost it. When we asked them why they lost it, they wouldn't tell us. When we asked the tenant why they lost it, they wouldn't tell us. So we're completely in the dark. We have no idea why. But we're saying to the tenant, hey, listen, we're still happy to rent to you, even though you've lost your voucher, but you still have to pay rent. Well, take a wild guess what happened month one. You guessed it. And so month one, I want to say was July. The first guy, for one person, the first guy, July, he doesn't pay. And then the other guy lost his voucher, and his first month was August. No joke. So we're working with them, trying to make it work, trying to get them set up, trying to get them to be able to stay. And they're just like, they're non-responsive. There's no interest. So we're like, I mean, okay, then I guess this is the way it's going to have to go. So we actually post those notices. We go through the court process. And for us right now, it's really busy with evictions. Evictions are absolutely much worse than they've been for the last 5 years. Elite operator telling you this. I'm seeing this, but it's because we're seeing people on their Section 8 vouchers. We're seeing them get revoked, but we didn't know why. We weren't sure what the problem was. We weren't sure why they were getting revoked. So I still don't know why. Well, I know why. I certainly know why. I believe why some of them were revoked. So we get our lockout, we go and we show up. And the way that lockouts work in our state is the court basically, so the tenant can choose to ask for a court date after they don't remedy paying the back rent. So they can ask for a court date. Then that court date is typically scheduled within 7 to 14 days. So they ask for that court date. We show up for the court date. And guess what? The dickhead that showed up, the dickhead that actually asked for the court date, didn't show up to court. He couldn't be bothered. He was far too busy to show up to court. So I'm like, unbelievable. So he wastes my morning. He wastes the judge's morning, which is far worse. But the judge basically says, all right, default judgment. Like, this is what it is. He's filling everything out. And he goes, all right, you got 7 days where they can contest it. If they can contest it, then they put it, basically you get a court date within a couple of days. You go in and they basically go, okay, why weren't you here? And then they go, oh, because the dog made my homework, or I never got the paperwork, or some silly lie like that. But happens all the time. And then the judge looks at it and says, okay, where are we at? And then I plead my case. I show them my timelines. Guys, if you're not in my course, this is the kind of stuff that I teach. I teach you exactly how you win those cases. By the way, P.S., I'm not that upset that he didn't show up. That made me 30-0. That's right. 30 wins, 0 losses. It's a good day, Tater. It's a good day. So I was 30-0. 30-0 in court, never lost. And it's not because none of them show up. A bunch of them show up. We just had one. We just had this last one, 31-0. Motion to set aside defaults usually don't work. Yeah, it's true. That's true, HOA. So where we are is we're in a position now where he doesn't show up for court. We get the default. Then what we do is the court gives us that default. We then take that default and we bring it to the sheriff's office, because now it's up to the sheriff to serve that actual, what's called a lockout. That's what it's actually called. They're going there to lock you out of the apartment. They're going to go, hey, you got 10 minutes, grab stuff that you need tonight and get out and leave the property. And then over the next 7 days, you have the opportunity to come back and get your stuff. Now, this is what differs with every single state, but you have the opportunity within 7 days to come back and get your stuff. And I basically can't touch any of your stuff, or that's not true. I can touch it. But this one was a little bit unique. Admittedly, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I have never, ever, ever seen what was seen in this particular example. So my property manager is there. Kenny, he's absolutely awesome. We make a great team. And so he's there and we scheduled it. The sheriff shows up and basically bang, 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 bang. No answer. Bang, 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 bang. We're coming in. Open it up. We go in the door and people are scrambling, which is weird because there's only one guy that's supposed to live there. Just one. He had a housing voucher. Only one guy is supposed to be living there. One guy is not living there. In the chat, tell me real quick how many people were living there. In the chat, real quick, give me your guess on how many people were living there. It is a 2-bedroom apartment, and it's a tiny 2-bedroom apartment because downstairs there's, they're large 1-bedrooms, but upstairs they're the same footprint. They're just 2 bedrooms. All right. So I got 8, I got 20. Wayne Wong. That's an amazing guess. Thank God it was not 20. Oscar 30, potato 69. That's pretty good. Yeah. So 100, thankfully not 100, not 100. I think the floors would have collapsed. All right. So here's how many people were there. There were 5 people there, 5 adults there, and there's only 2 bedrooms. And we woke them up. This is where the story starts to get good. So then literally a guy actually he literally like bolts. And one of the sheriffs, because there's 2, one of the sheriffs runs after him. Yeah, only 5. This isn't California HOA. We don't usually have 12 and 15 people, but there was only one on the lease. And not only that, was there not only one on the lease, there was also one guy in the lease, but it was also a Section 8 lease. It was one. It was only one on the lease, but it was a Section 8 unit, and it was a Section 8 voucher. So for those of you who don't know, Section 8 vouchers, it's given to a person, but how it's broken down is based on the number of people that you're going in there with. So even though it was a 2-bedroom, here's what's really interesting. He rented it out as a 1-bedroom. Why? Because he'd rather have the extra money or the guaranteed money coming in from Section 8 as opposed to doing his job as a landlord. And quite frankly, as an asset owner, he's like, yeah, it's fine. The 1-bedroom is good enough. Just lazy. Didn't like this kid at all. So he's in there. We've got one guy who's in there. Now, when you have that Section 8 voucher, what you actually have to do is you actually have to then get permission from the landlord, me or that other guy, to actually move somebody in. Obviously, this guy doesn't have any of that documentation. What's really funny is 4 of the 5 had no idea that they were up for eviction. 4 of the 5. The one guy who was on the lease, he knew they were up for eviction. He knew they'd lost their voucher. Here's what's crazier. The roommates start yelling at him about the fact that they'd paid him rent. Now we're talking about housing fraud. Oh my word. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So yes, thankfully, Kyle, everyone was closed. Thankfully. So not only, and we've walked into naked before, but I was more concerned about what was being walked into. So what was being walked into was people running around, people shouting at each other. 2 sheriffs are there. 5 adults are there. 2 of them are just waking up. It gets a little bit crazy, right? We're talking a little bit crazy, but now the real craziness begins. Needles all over the countertop. White porcelain plates covered in powder. Scales. Baggies. And yeah, some guns. Like, none of this stuff I have ever seen before in a unit ever. I've never seen anything like it. It was like it was out of the movie American Gangster. It was like it was out of that movie. It was unbelievable. Yeah, so Wayne, no idea. Here's the thing that's scary. I don't want my guy touching that. What if it's not that? What if it's something else? I don't want my guys touching that, put themselves at risk. So immediately, sheriffs, they intervene. They're like, get your stuff. Let's go. And so they're basically getting these guys to each fill in a bag, right? So these guys each fill out a bag. They're getting out, and yeah, exactly. Yeah. And see, that's the thing is, like, we invest in a fairly wealthy area. So this is not a thing that like HOA Press is talking about. And it's also not California. So all of this is happening, and literally my guy's like, what do you want me to do? And I go, whatever the cop says, whatever the sheriff says. So the sheriff can't do anything more. The sheriff's job is to do the lockout, get people gone. That's it. That's all that happens. So we're just like, hey, can you just like maybe call the cops? And like, we don't want to be the ones calling the cops. because we don't know exactly what procedure is, how this works, what's going on. We have no clue. Yeah, like Gary, Indiana. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. So we don't know exactly, just honestly, like we have no idea what we're doing. We haven't dealt with this stuff before, but I don't want my guy touching it because I don't want something to happen to him. So the sheriffs come, the sheriffs basically get the cops involved. The cops come over and the cops are like, hey, all right, we're taking this over. We're like, sheriffs aren't cops. They aren't. Nope. In our state, they have two different responsibilities. Yeah. They have two different responsibilities. In our state, sheriffs are not cops. They are, but they aren't. They can do a lot of things, but like when this is like professional courtesy of like, hey, you've got a problem, go, because our sheriffs take care of the entire county. Our cops take care of their towns. So there's that like professional camaraderie, but also, kind of like responsibility. So everything though, yeah, Sharpies, needles, but then they start finding the pew-pews, they're finding the ammunition for the pew-pews. It could be DEA. Like we have catapulted into a land that I know nothing about from a landlord perspective and from a personal perspective. So basically the cops come out, So watch this is what happens. It goes from dispatch, cop comes out, cop looks at it, takes one look, calls the sergeant. Sarge, I'm going to need you to come and take a look at this. Sarge comes out, he looks and he goes, one sec. He makes a phone call. He calls the detective. He goes, hey, need you to come out here and take a look at this. Now the detective's out there. So the detective's out there and he's going all through the place, all this other stuff. They're like, hey, we're going to be back. We need you to stick around. And we need you to, we need you to stick around. And we're going to come back with a warrant. My guys, what do you want me to do? I go, you're not staying there. Absolutely not. I need you safe. You can't stay there. So we basically tell them, hey, listen, he can't stay here. However, we're more than happy to do whatever else you need us to do. So they're like, fine, we'll post a cop there. They post a cop there, basically standing outside. And, because obviously there's a bunch of stuff in there that, might be a problem. So what's really interesting is all these, so now it's a parade of people through search warrants and all this other stuff. And we get the call. This is on a weekday. We get a call on the weekend basically saying, hey, your stuff's all good. You can go back. You can do your thing. So now we go back, we do our thing. Well, then we have the conversation and pick up on the point that I'm leaving you here. We want to get them back so they can get their stuff. We don't want their stuff. We don't know what it's covered with. We have no interest in keeping their stuff. However, I believe in transparency. And so I said to them, we will need to, this is basically what every landlord does. We will need to accompany you when you want to come back and get your stuff. That being said, based on what was found in the unit, there will be a police presence there when you come back. It's up to you if you want to come back or not. We're not forcing you, but we're going to have a police presence here, period, end of story. So there was some consternation on their side. Then one guy starts to get all blustery. I'm all blustery. Starts to get all blustery and talk about the fact that he has rights. He has no rights. He wasn't paying me rent. I had no idea he was living there. He was subletting from the tenant that was there. He has no rights. You've got zero rights. I have no idea who you are. None. So I don't have to do anything for you. Anything that I do for you is pure graciousness on my part. That's it. I don't know you. I don't know who you are. You never paid me anything. And the rent is still due, bro. So we basically say to them, hey, listen, we're willing to work with you, but we can't let you in the unit unless the actual lessee is here. I'm like, well, we're not sure he's going to come back. What do you want me to do? I don't want to throw out all the shit. I don't want to pay to get rid of all this stuff. You guys already owe me $7,000 in back rent. Do you think I want to spend another gee whiz getting rid of all your stuff? I don't. And what we're going to run across? Not interested. Don't want to know what we're going to run across. Here's the thing. Cops were there. 2 pages of inventory. 2 pages of inventory. That's what they pulled out of that place. 2 pages of inventory. Oh my goodness. I was like, you gotta be joking me right now. So we get through this whole entire process. Then the guy's getting all blustery about how I know lawyers, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, cool, here's my 9 lawyers. Which of them do you know? I'm willing to bet that you know a bunch of the criminal lawyers, because there's no way that you've not been in the popo or in the clink before. No way. They're for sure. So again, we're having to handle this with a certain level of decorum because we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we give them a reason to use the things that used to be there because maybe they brought some of those things. We don't know. Again, we just want to be done with it. We want our unit back so we can get the stuff done. So what we finally agree to is, okay, yes, you can show up. He needs to be there. And if he's not there, they're like, well, we're not sure we're going to get him to show up. So here's what we end up doing. We tell them, if you get a notarized letter from him saying that you can have access in anything in the unit that you're welcome to take, if you get that, I'm okay with giving you access. So that is where we are in the process right now. Is they got that document. Now they're setting things up where they can get back in and get all of their stuff out of there, because like I said, it will cost me $1,000, but it's definitely the risk that I don't want my guys to be going through. Like, we have non-stick gloves. It was really actually cool. The police were awesome. The cops are so good in this town. They are just elite. They are so good at what they do. They stand up for citizens' rights. Like, they are just awesome. They're not listening to all this noise. They're just like, dude, get out of here. Get out of here. You don't even belong here. You're trespassing. And they're like, Mr. Landlord, would you like us to trespass them? And I'm like, not if they're willing to leave right now. We don't need to trespass them. So now we are in a position where that move is in process. But like I said, I've never seen the amount of guns and drugs, and it really hit home for me that what we teach about tenant selection and how we manage tenant selection is of critical importance to you guys. People buy here and they manage here. When you buy, you're going to spend a month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months or 5 months or 6 months buying, right? You're going to manage that asset in all likelihood for 10 to 20 years. Which do you think is more important? Which do you think you cannot overcome? You can easily overcome a bad purchase, right? Easily. It's absolutely doable. What you can't do is overcome bad management. You can't. And that's why I made the course that I did. You can't do that. By the way, somebody said to me last week, as soon as you mentioned a course, I stopped listing. I told him, I said, you're only hurting yourself. There's 90 minutes to 2 hours worth of free information every Thursday night. And so if you don't want to listen because I have a course and I offer one to help speed people's curve up, fine. Don't come. Don't come. There's a bunch of free stuff here, man. But some people need to accelerate. Some people want to accelerate. Some people say, hey, you know what? I could spend a year learning this stuff, or I could spend 60 days learning this stuff in an action-packed fashion and walk away with relationships, a network, better understanding from a guy who's elite at this, and other landlords that I can then work with that hold me accountable. I don't get it. I just don't get it. But anyway, I digress. But we're in a position now where we're going to get the unit back. We're happy. The building is completely going to transform. It's going to completely transform. These 2 tenants in this building were absolutely running roughshod over the building, and they were running roughshod over the other tenants. One of the other tenants, and admittedly, is it the best response that I've ever had? No, it's probably not. I thought it was kind of funny. He basically writes back, he goes, this is an issue, and this is an issue, and this is an issue, and this is an issue. And I wrote back and I said, we are well aware of everything that's occurring there. We are in complete control of everything that's occurring there. We respect the law, and we respect judicial procedure. And so we are only moving at the pace by which the law will allow us because we are law-abiding landlords. P.S. You can keep your uninformed, uneducated opinion to yourself. We know far more what's going on than you do. And this is a process. Period. Because I'm not going to take that tenant is obnoxious. He's constantly. And so he's difficult too. He just happens to pay. Doesn't mean you get to stay forever, bro. Doesn't mean you get to stay forever. Keep that in mind. Golden rule. Don't piss off the guy with the gold, who has the gold. He makes the rules. That's all I'm saying. And it's like, it's absurd. Like you don't know what you're talking about. Everything is being done. Everything is being done. And you just complain nonstop. There's nothing you haven't complained about. So anyway, I digress. So that's what's happening. That's what's going on right now, guys. So let's jump in. Old REI guy, my biggest fan. Well, right back at you, sir. I'm glad to see you and your lovely wife, Cynthia, is I'm sure sitting with you as well. Omid, greetings from Boston. Always good to see you, Omid. Hopefully things worked out with, I set you up with Jess in Springfield. If you're looking in that area, she's fantastic. I'm excited about tonight's discussion. Well, there you go. Let me know how I did. I wish I could do them earlier. We got a lot of West Coast folks, and I don't want to get them during an early dinner or getting out of work. My good buddy Dion, who is absolutely electric, will have some news to announce in the next few weeks. But yeah, absolutely, it was a blast. I mean, you guys are all following Dion. I know, I can see it in my channel, so it's good. Jay Mullis, hi everyone. Do we have a date yet for boot camp? We had 3 more people sign up because people disqualified based on them not being able to do it or attend this time around. And so I think we have. We don't have a hard date yet, but they're all voting. And so I've got to, once we get the first boot camp underway, I'm going to give you guys an option and see what you guys think. But yeah, we're within a week we'll be starting. It won't be this Saturday because everyone won't have done it, but it'll likely be, it'll be probably next Saturday, not this Saturday, but a following Saturday is my guess. HOA price in CA, the DA can evict a tenant for drug dealing and guns. Yeah, absolutely. We can do the same here. Plenty of power here to do that. Charles McCune, attaboy Kyle, great show today, Mark. Oh, very cool. I haven't seen that yet, but I certainly will take a watch for sure. Sean Leverett, hello everyone from the Oregon coast. Hello, Sean. Good to see you. BuzzTune, Mike, you hope you're doing well. Sean Lambert, guns, drugs, and eviction. Sounds like a Friday night. You know what? Not in New Hampshire. We have lots of guns here, but not so much of the other stuff. Certainly not in my area, not by the coast. HOA price during the 2 years free rent in COVID. Yep. One person saved over 100K and was able to buy a house. The vast majority never had any money after COVID. Money run out. Absolutely. Those who can do, those who can't do, run a Section 8 housing authority. I tell you, I wish that weren't as true as it is. HOA Press. Sarah Vanning, good to see you. You're always welcome for the live. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. Kyle, good to see you, my friend. Congratulations on the sale of your business. Evictions are hitting record highs in Silicon Valley like 2008. Yeah, HOA Press, I told you it's going to keep on getting worse. Those are the jobs that are going to get crushed by AI. I'm telling you. It's going to be nasty there for a long time. And I think that low is going to be a lot lower than people ever thought it was going to be. And I think it's going to take a long time for that to rebound because, that city, I tell you, that's rough now. Good to see you, Robert Finelli. Richard Trong. Hi, Matt. What was your email? I had a question about the recordings from the previous boot camp last fall. You can send it to lumberjacklandlord@gmail.com. We are going through what is this Mighty Networks upgrade, where now it's become a lot more manual. We had everything automated and set up. So as soon as you paid, you used to get access. Now you have to request access. It's kind of poo-poo, pee-pee caca. And so we're working through it. Thank you guys for your patience, but our people are trying to, it's usually myself or one of the admins that see it come in, and we try to respond as quickly as possible to make sure we get you taken care of. Give me 1 second. Hold on 1 second. I just see somebody online. I'm waiting for an answer back from them. Oscar, good evening, sir. Wayne 1, good evening, sir. Demetrius, good to see you. HOA Press, in CA, you definitely want to get drug dealers and gun dealers out of your properties ASAP, as you're likely to be sued by either tenants or DA. Yeah, so it doesn't work so much like that here on the East Coast, just because it's not really a thing. It's not one of those things that happens very often. And I can tell you, this is my first time in 24 years. But yeah, it is what happened, and now we're just fixing it. Votes are in. It's Saturday now. Impossible for any other choice to win. Okay, cool. Yeah, we just want to make sure that everybody's able to attend the first one. Set us up from a good perspective. HOA Prez, you want to get problem tenants out of your properties ASAP. Don't try and change tenants' behavior, as trying to be social worker never works. Totally agree. Section 8 PHA are starting to crack down on vouchers. So if your Section 8 tenants are violating rules, then they are going to lose vouchers a lot more quickly than in the past. That's very true. Now, it's not about cuts. It's not about tariffs. It's not about, Donald Trump. It's not about any of those things. It's really not about any of them. What it really is that there's finally a HUD secretary that's actually clamping down on this stuff and saying, we have to just enforce the rules that we have on the books. What a novel approach. What a novel approach. I like enforced rules. If there's a rule that's on the book that's not enforced, why it's on the books? Doesn't make any sense to me. Flavio Macias, good to see you, sir. Always happy to have you. HOA Prez, motion to set aside defaults usually don't work. That's very true. Grumpy Contractor, howdy y'all. Good to see you. HOA Press, check your court rules. Try to get your cases in front of a landlord-friendly judge. Yeah, the challenge is that very often when you're in a smaller market, which most of us are in, you don't have say in as far as which judges you go in front of. There's no pull. You're on a docket, period, in the story. You show up and you do your thing. And I was in court on Monday and worked out a deal. It was nice, which is actually really cool. This year, we've had 3 that we worked out deals, and we've never, ever had people follow through on those deals for anything more than 30 days. And I can tell you that 2 of the 3, the 2 deals that we put together earlier in the year, they've stayed strong. They've continued to pay. They've continued to respect the process. Very happy about that. I was right about them as people. And then this third one, I'm very happy. I'm very happy that that's being taken care of. And you know what? That's for a voucher that's worth about $3,700 a month. So I was very happy that we were able to work something out. Robert Finelli, don't worry, Matt. Next month in December, you can go to court to watch people getting evicted from the $99 move-in specials back in the summer. So I've close friends with somebody whose organization ran a lot of that stuff. You'd be surprised. They're actually sticking. And the reason why they're actually sticking is because the people had the money, they had the income. They didn't have the savings, right? So this is the same reason that they didn't buy the house. And I like it when companies are creative and come up with some of the stuff. I hate it because I don't want to compete with it. But if we actually look at the numbers and we actually look at what the effect was, here's what I can tell you. The actual effect was that they got people in that had decent credit scores that did actually pay. They were just garbage at saving money. They didn't actually save any money. So that was kind of the cool thing. So it actually has worked out quite nicely for them. There are all of our guesses on the number of people that were in that unit. Were some of these illegal immigrants? Wayne Wong, that's a great question. If you look at the demographic of New Hampshire, we are a very different state. Now, the big thing is that most of the time, the only illegal immigrants that we have are coming from Canada. And they love their country like many of us love our country. And so they don't stay. They come down on vacation a lot. We love to have them. And then they go home. I love the Quebecois. And a lot of my friends that, I love seeing them come down and we talk hockey. And that's why I end up picking up in hockey season. I pick up the Canadian accent. It's just one of those weird things. But yeah, it's really, really interesting. Apparently people didn't really like the Donald Trump comment because 10 people left. Too bad. I'm going to tell you that I'm going to tell it to you as I see it, because I'm actually in the trenches looking at this stuff. Jacek Pixak. Hello from amazing New Jersey. I'm glad you feel it's that way. I think I might be in Jersey tomorrow, actually. True story. I'm literally waiting on an update from somebody. That's why I'm looking at my phone. He was active a few minutes ago. I'm waiting to find out if we're going to do this thing tomorrow. So I might be in Jersey tomorrow. Yes, everyone was clothed. With your Section 8 reimburse you for the property damage, they do not. That is not a thing where we are, because the issue was they already cut them off of their voucher. So the problem is that they weren't on an active voucher anyway. That's why they stopped paying, and then that's why they subsequently or ultimately got evicted. HOA Press, person with a Section 8 voucher will make money by subletting the use. Yep, they clearly did that in this case. That's actually the first case like this that I've ever had. Never had this case like that before. So I thought that to be pretty interesting. How are you, Mark? Good, Marcus Shiro. Good to see you, pal. Wayne Wong. So I won't say that word out loud because I'm not sure if it actually creates a problem for the video. But it was a white substance of some sort. They cleaned it all up, but they didn't let us know what it was. So I don't know if, I'm sure they tested it, but I have no idea what it actually was. Demetrius, sounds like an ordinary day in Gary. I know, right? It was probably good for me to kind of go through this here, because it sounds like that's something that goes on pretty often out there. Kyle Dorn, oh no, does that require a clean out like a meth lab? It doesn't, unless that's what they found it to be. So, and I don't think it was. So we asked the police, hey, is this okay to go back in and essentially habitate? And they said yes. They said, yeah, not a problem. And I said, okay. I mean, so they're not going to tell us that if it was meth, obviously. We talked about sheriffs not being cops. HOA press, Sharpies and needles are tough. You got to be real careful. Wear gloves. Gets lots of Sharpie boxes for the needles. More than once I found an ounce of meth or coke. No big deal, but be careful. Exactly right. We don't want to clean up any of it. So that's where the cops come in, and they basically clear the scene because they're taking all of those samples, right? They need to know everything that was in there. And then all these people are going to come in and try and take care of it. Yeah, not interested in cleaning out a meth lab because I know with meth, it's a big problem. Like you have to do certifications, and Millennial Mike, he was certified that on SWAT. He was one of those drug guys. Josic, sheriffs don't want the paperwork. That's true too. Troy Roberts, hey Matt, need your advice. I'm in a commercial real estate deal with my wife's family that's draining time and money. No operating agreement, seller financed, and we're losing monthly. My wife and I want out, but I want to make my investor whole, $60K. Thinking of finding a new partner to buy us out. What would you do? Just based on that information, yeah, I mean, the idea is if you can stay in the deal, right, then make the investor whole and try and stay in the deal. If it is that where it's a constant drain, it's always money losing, time losing, then at that point you're better off, essentially walking. Not knowing all the detail, it's difficult to give you a true, fully consultative, educated discussion or opinion on it. But generally speaking, I'm kind of more, horseshoes and hand grenades. I'm more looking at it going, yeah, I don't stick around in deals that aren't making money. I find a way to exit so I can say, yep, that was a mistake. Let's get into another deal that can make some money. At the same time, too, I want to be the guy that try and sticks. I've got a building where I stuck around for 4 or 5 years, didn't make a whole lot of money. But the cool thing is I did get everybody else out except for one guy. And the one guy I've had the conversation with is basically like, yeah, you can run everything and do everything. I was like, okay, sounds good. Works for me. Sheriff are elected in real law enforcement. Police wish they were sheriff. Yeah, I think so. The sheriff is, but the deputies underneath them aren't. And so they work for the sheriff's office, but there's only one sheriff. And then there in our area, I think there's 12 deputies. Sheriff will secure the unit and get a search warrant to make all the seized evidence admissible. So the sheriff, basically, that's why they turned it over to the cops. That's why they turned it over to the cops. They turned it over to the cops for that reason specifically. They were like, yours. Chris Culp, boot camp. I know. I agree. We're ready. HOA Prez, your evicted tenants for drug use will demand their deposit back, saying they left the unit clean. I mean, they can demand whatever they want. They're not going to get anything back. We're going to send them a letter. I don't know who those other people are. So my only responsibility is to send it to the person that was on the lessee. And he knows he's not going to get anything back because he owed me $7,000 in rent and late fees. Yep. Taylor Stanley. Hi, Taylor. Evening, Matt. I hope the entire Lumberjack clan is doing well. We are doing very well. Thank you very much. Off, going through things, for the new year. I'm so excited about that. And yeah, we are in full swing, and it's starting to get cold here. Jack Stewart, sorry, watching the Pens. That's okay. I'll catch you in a future land. Your opinion, who will do better, the Bruins or the Pens this year, and why? I'll tell you my opinion in 5 minutes so I don't screw your answer. The Pens will be a better team this year. Yeah, the Bruins are not going to be a good team this year. They've got too much Diet Coke on the top line. They're like not real studs. Yeah, your team still has real studs, elite hockey players. HOA Press, the evicted tenants are not likely to come back as they likely have active warrants. So they did come back. They actually came back twice. And that's what was surprising to us. But they all had rap sheets, obviously. And so we were treating them with respect, but we told them very quickly when one of them started to get threatening about, he knows lawyers and this, that, and the other. We're just like, listen, we don't want to go down that path, because quite frankly, you have no standing. I don't know who you are. You weren't on the lease. The fact that you were sleeping here overnight for who knows how long. I don't care if you were paying him, you weren't paying me. I don't know who you are. You've never been identified. So you have no standing. You literally have zero standing. And we're a red governed state. So we actually have common sense laws that work. So yeah, you've got no standing here. So my suggestion, my recommendation to you is we want to work with you. So let's just work together over the next week and let's let you get your stuff. That's what we want to do. We want you to help you get your stuff. So let's work down that path. This is what I need in order for that to happen. I need this notarized document from the lessee, because if he's not here, I technically can't let you in, because he could come back and sue me because I let somebody else in the unit and you broke all of his stuff or stole all of his stuff and an heirloom was in there. This is the kind of stuff that actually happens. So be smart, think ahead. There's a level of street smarts that has to happen with this, but that's why I won't let him in. I don't care if he was in there when the thing got pulled down anyway. Doesn't matter. We're under contract with a lessee, period, end of story. That lessee not there, you get no access unless I have a notarized letter, because then I can prove that it was him that signed it in front of a notary. Then, okay, now we're talking. Jack Stewart, I have some news to tell you shortly in Vegas. Pumpkin Pie Palooza is all I'm telling you. You have my attention. HOA CA has a 15-day limit for evicted tenants to pick up their property, and the landlord can throw the possessions out on the 16th day. So we just do that. We do it a lot faster. Like everything else, we're twice as fast as California. So we can do it in 7. Josh Burdick, oh man, I bet the police want to ID all those fools. And they did. Again, had nothing to do with us, but we just stepped back and let the cops and everybody do what they wanted to do. Jack Stewart, Matt is the nicest. He's nicer than me. Don't let that beard hide his kindness. I am nice. Yeah. Yep. I had a tenant crying in a good way on the phone today, so it was good. We were happy to help her. Maybe the prior slumlord was making money off of drug sales. I don't think so. He is very, that's not his world at all. Not his world at all. Young guy, crypto bro, had 19 different things on his LinkedIn page, bought the asset right during COVID. Has the right teacher. He has a guy that I respect immensely. The guy that he was mentored by, that guy's elite. He's one of the few agents in my area that I have immense amount of respect for. Very smart, very educated about processes and assets. And he is elite. So it's just, this guy just was not attentive. He was just an absentee landlord, just had no interest in doing what it took to do this. And that's why. He just took the money and ran. He didn't care about the tenants in there. Didn't care about the, the craziness in there. And that's why everyone was so angry when basically with anything being done, they're just like, that's not how we do things. No, it is how we do things. It's not how you guys do things. It's not how the last landlord does. I don't let you just run roughshod over the building and do whatever you want. It's not how it goes. You're not going to be a disruption to all of our neighbors. That's not going to happen. No, not happening. HOA Press, the worst case scenario is a drug lab because you are looking at major expense to get the unit uninhabitable. Yeah, it wasn't that at all. Like I said, the cops would have told us that. And again, it didn't look like there was, any of that going on there. What it looked like is it was, probably, if I had to guess, bring drugs back there, split them up and sell them. So it didn't look like anything more than that. So HOA pres, if this is your first time doing this type of an eviction, then it's somewhat unique experience that you don't want to repeat. Yeah, we never repeated it. We've never had it before. And the reason that we never had it before is because I'm the one with my own separate criteria that selects tenants. And so this guy who owned the building before me, his issue was whoever I can get in there to fog a mirror and is on public program, that the bill's going to get paid. I don't care what they do because the place is a dump. I know what the asset is. I know that it can be something amazing, and I bought it like with the potential of what it has. I slightly overpaid for it, but I knew what the property could be. And the cool thing is within 2 years, we'll be in our 20% return on our capital there. And it was a 1031 exchange, so it worked out really well. Omid, very cool story. I did connect with Jess. I appreciate it. You're very welcome. If there's a meetup in New England, would love to see you. Thanks. I don't actually do any meetups. There was one meetup that was being done. And quite frankly, I stopped going to it because I caught shit from people all the time. The 3 women that were in charge, one of them owned 2 units, another one owned 1 unit, and then the other one was a realtor for 30 years. She sucked. And these 3 people that ran that organization were a complete punchline. Literally, there was finally a speaker coming that I wanted to go see. And they're like, oh, well, we can't let you see them because, we don't have a cleared check from you. I said, fine, I'll bring a check with me. Well, we need a cleared check. I was like, fine, I'll give you a credit card or I'll pay you Venmo or I'll do PayPal. They're like, no, we don't accept any of those other things. So I missed the speaker. Well, so here's what's really funny. I just told all the people exactly what they were like. Why weren't you there for this? She said you were going to be there. I said, yeah, they basically wouldn't let me come because they said that they didn't get my previous renewal. I hadn't been sent one. And I actually sent them something. I actually sent them a check saying, hey, here's my renewal. Cause I keep track of that stuff. And so I didn't get to go. And so I said, that's fine. No problem. And so I told all the other investors that, and now they have a group of people that go and attend. They're like, we have 500 people in the group. Yeah, but you only have 40 people show up, and the 40 people that show up own less than 10 units. And they haven't been doing it very long. Like the problem is that I like to go there and I like to teach and I like to help other people because, we're bigger landlords and we get to help the smaller guys. But every single thing there is like, well, no, that doesn't apply to me. No, it absolutely applies to you. I've done 3 deals this year. How many have you done? Oh, you did one 2 years ago? I'm not shaming the person. I'm just saying when you're doing deals in this market right now today, you have more valuable information because what was happening 2 and 3 years ago doesn't apply anymore today. It's very, very different. So when we talk about the things that we do, we talk about those things specifically because we know that's what helps people is that we're still doing deals today. Most times when I'm sitting down at a table with other landlords, I've done a deal more recently than them because we do 4 or 5 in a year usually, which means every 30 to 60 days or every 30 to 90 days, I'm doing another deal. That's the information I like to share with you guys because that's what's going to help you. Hey, when we were at the table, this was one of the things that came up. This is interesting. Like, let's pay attention. Let's pay attention to this stuff. Josh Burdick, hit that like button. We got rookie numbers. Josh Burdick, good for you. Thank you. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you, my friend. Jack Stewart, Bruins will do better. No, they won't. Yeah. After seeing the Pens at PPG the other night, they have so many people that are new that it's still learning plays and the seasoned players are getting older and older. True. We have exactly the same thing, except we don't have the skill. It goes Pasternak and then chasm as large as the Grand Canyon and then everybody else. Charlie McAvoy is the most overrated defenseman in the NHL. Jack Stewart, if they lose a couple key players, they are done. Yeah, same thing here. West Coast here, airborne too. See, that's why we do this late. We want to make sure we give time for you guys to get in here. Sarah Venon, this video should go viral based on the title. Hey, you know what? That would be super nice. That doesn't happen very often with my channel because it's really down in the muck, in the mire. I get it. But here's the thing. 51 people are here right now. 51 people are here right now to learn. And that's where I want to answer your guys' questions and make your experience better. HOA Facebook just announced a layoff of 600 in their ultra secret AI lab. So even AI engineers are starting to get laid off. That's true. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. I said it a year ago and I said, you watch, it's going to start to happen. I was in tech for 26 years. In the beginning, I was one of those elite performers. I lasted 7 riffs is what they're called. reduction in forces. I lasted through 7 of them. They took teams from almost 100 down to 14. I was still there. Because I was number 1, but I saw them absolutely cut. And this happened in the dot-com bomb because I've worked in the business as long as that. So it was dot-com bomb. It was great financial crisis. And then how long that went on, and then finally pulling out of that in the teens. And then right before, the great health event, it was starting to peter down. And then we go into that health event. It was a nightmare. But we just, did what we do. That's all we can do. Lane 5 ready. Evening, everyone from Southeast Ohio. Good to have you here, Lane 5 ready. SK, what's up, Matt? City has qualified me for ADU amnesty program, but need a few things fixed for habitability. Can do. I love it. But they want plans drawing of an ADU for electrical heating windows that need fixed. Question is, should drawing include main unit ADU is attached? There's a bedroom in the main unit that has no window due to ADU attached. Can I show bedroom as a den office? Will city deep dive main unit? They likely will. But one of the things that you can do is you might not need to go that hard. So I use a guy named Dan's Plans. He's right on Fiverr for less than $100. I give him the specs and he can put it into a beautiful document, and he can dress up that document too. Now, he's not architectural plans. So if they're telling you flat out you need architectural plans, then you need architectural plans, and those are probably going to cost you $3,000 to $5,000. However, he builds plans out that look pretty darn close. They just won't have the architectural stamp, and that's where you can run into some problems. Drawings need to show full configuration of main unit. They should. Yep. Through ADU is that one that meet habitability changes. Yep. Or can the main unit be a black box on the drawing? I always have it in there, but I would go first without like architectural drawings. I'd go first with the plan from a guy like Dan's Plans right on Fiverr. I'd go first from a guy like that because for under $100, you're probably going to get that. And then you can show them. And then if they're like, no, this is bad, we want to see this changed, then that gives you the opportunity to say, will these plans suffice if I just update that piece? They may say yes. If they say yes, you just save $3,000. If they say no, you still have something in a drawing and in a file that you can likely hand off to an architect that will vastly reduce the amount of time, effort, and energy that they're going to have to put in. So that should help. That should be helpful. It may happen in the near future that Section 8 housing authorities will be able to tell the landlord the reason for losing the voucher. It may happen. It should. I mean, it's the interest of full disclosure. Why am I the only one that doesn't get to know and I'm the one providing the housing? Housing doesn't provide the housing. They provide the money. I provide the actual housing. They're not at risk. I'm the one at risk. So I think that's just common sense. Anytime you disconnect the penalty from the person and you create a gap, you're creating something that will be wrought with fraud, waste, and abuse. That's how it works. You need to keep them together. Because if you keep them together and that person's held accountable, guess what? Like I'm going to be putting forth a bill, or a statute or a resolution, in our town, in one of the towns, saying that you cannot fine the landlord for waste outside. You must fine the tenant. Yeah. Because they call me up to like, you need to take care of this. I was like, it's not my stuff. I didn't put it there. Well, we're going to start fining you. You're not going to start fining me. I'll fight it in court because I didn't do it. It's not my stuff. Tell the tenant that put the shit there to get it gone. And they're like, well, were you not willing to do that? Of course I'm willing to do that. I send them a letter. I send them an email. I send them text messages. I make phone calls. I put it in the maintenance portal. I do all of the things that I can possibly do, and they ignore it. If they ignore it, did I not do my part? It's not on me to go pick it up. It's on them. It's their stuff. Because guess what happens? If I go pick it up and I throw it out, are they going to sue me and try and get paid for the stuff that I threw out? Of course they are. So why would you be disconnected from the person that actually gets the fine to the person who actually caused the fine being given? You give it to the person that caused the fine being given. And then when you do that, you get less issues. That town has not figured that out yet. They still can't figure it out. Oh, another question for you, Matt. My lender is asking me to address all the things that were red lines in the inspection report. Oh boy. Even though in my P&S, it was stated that it was being sold as is. What should I do? Have you been in this situation? Yeah. So what they're looking to do is they want you to address all the red line stuff because they want the house improved. They want the house improved. So what I would do is I would look at that list. This is just me. This is how I've combated that in the past. I've looked at the list and I've said, okay, I can agree on these couple of things. These are safety issues. I agree with those. These other things, it's a 100-year-old house. It's a 120-year-old house. It's a 140-year-old house. This is noise. This is noise. So I would have another inspector just come in and say, hey, I've reviewed all these things. And I would say, tell me which are safety issues. I know what they are because I've been doing this for, a billion years. And likely I know what he's going to put. Sometimes he'll add something else, but whatever. But then I get a new report. And then I take that new report and I then give it to the bank. And I say, this was actually done by a new inspector. He went through the entire property. And here were the 3 things that he said were actually issues. These other things were not issues. They were based on time of building, blah, blah, blah. No known factors. And so those are the 3 things that I addressed. And very often that will get you done. Doesn't work every time, but it's worked for me. It's worked for me every time. But I know other people where it hasn't worked for them. But that's worked out for me very well. HOA Press, Newsom is running on an open border and repeal the Second Amendment platform. This isn't going anywhere. Yeah, it's not going anywhere anyway, because all you ever have, anybody running up against him just goes, look at the results. This is what the cities look like there. Look at the results. It's not going to go anywhere. Dion talk financial freedom. Sorry. Do you give your tenants a month off from rent for Christmas or just buy them a car? No. No and no. No and no. 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 What we will do a lot of times is we will we've done stuff for the kids. So we'll give the kids because we'll give the kids like a gift card where they can go and pick out toys. Now, there aren't any cool toy stores anymore. Not where we are. So their options are Target and Walmart for toys. So, we'll give them a toy for that or a card for that. We actually got to get those. We got to get those purchased. Josic, let me know if you have time. We can grab lunch. So Josic, where are you in Jersey? Answer me below. HOA Press, white substance is probably coke, maybe meth. It definitely wasn't. I definitely wasn't meth because they didn't shut anything down. So, but I don't know what else. It could have been fentanyl. Fentanyl's white. All that stuff is white. SK, Carlton Dennis, CPA, in his interview with Ryan Pineda, says 80% of his wealthy clients only use RE to park their money and for tax benefits. Only 20% do it for cash flow to get their W. What do you think? I'm sure that's Carlton's take on thing. My guess is that all of those people have other businesses, right? And so they don't want to be landlords, but it shows you what a quality asset that it is if they believe that they can just park it. Now, the issue is that they invest very often. They're investing for appreciation. That's not going to work for the next 5 years. It's not. It's just not going to work. And am I saying that nothing is going to appreciate over 5 years? No, it's just not going to appreciate anything like it did the last 5 years. And is that the best asset class to be in? Don't know. I do it because I enjoy doing it. I know that we're helping people with safe places to rent, nice places to rent. And so it's a service for me, but it's also because I enjoy this stuff. I enjoy teaching it. I enjoy helping people with it because I'm a problem solver guy. I'm a fix-it guy. So yeah, I think that's absolutely that world. I just don't particularly like Ryan Pineda. And here's why. He's exiting out of WealthCon. Okay, so that was the thing that he did for a few years. And now it doesn't make nearly as much money as it did. And so now he's exiting it. Now he's doing this golf thing, like we talked about on Zoob's channel. So now he's doing this golf thing. I don't begrudge him. Like, he's doing the golf thing and he's making a ton of money. So hold on one second. This was the guy I was waiting for the answer. What would logistics be if I drive a car to... I'll announce to you next week what that deal is if it comes together. Actually, even if it doesn't come together, I'm still going to tell you what it was. If the $99 move-in special. So yeah, so SK, to answer your questions, They invest differently than I do. They just invest differently than I do. Very many of them have companies that are making a bunch of money, and so they're looking for that protection from a tax perspective. And that's what that guy says. I can give you a Bob Langworthy, and 80% of his clients, 90% of his clients that have it, they actually use it for cash flow. They don't give two rips about the appreciation. Appreciation is nice and it looks cute in a little box. One tiny little box on my net worth statement. Looks cute. It's one little box. But generally speaking, I can't spend it, so who cares? I care about cash flow. That's what I'm focused on. If the $99 move-in special stuck, then you are definitely right about the security deposit being the first thing to cut if problems renting. Yes, I'll gladly rent to people who pay me but don't save. And that's the issue. The issue remains that there are people with good credit. There are people that have great incomes and they are garbage at saving. It's fact. The crazy thing is I help a 26-year-old kid buy a fourplex with only $8,000 out of pocket based on how we structured the deal. $8,000 out of pocket. That's it. Fourplex. He lived there for free and was paid $1,000 a month to live there. I don't know who wouldn't want that. That's a phenomenal deal. Oh, I don't want to have neighbors. I want my own house. Okay, stay poor. Stay poor. Josh Burdick, bet the neighbors are relieved to have them gone. Do you worry about retaliation or have dealt with retaliatory ex-tenants? I've certainly dealt with retaliatory ex-tenants. In this particular case, we were very respectful. They recognize, and that was a conversation we had with them, which was, guys, we can't have you stay for nothing. If you had just paid the rent, we would have been happy to have you stay. We wouldn't have known any of this stuff was going on. We don't know why you lost your voucher. But as you can imagine, we can't have you staying without paying. And so the other guy, not the lessee, I said, there was nothing we could do. There was nothing we could do. We can't let you stay for nothing. It's not financially tenable. They don't know how big we are. They don't know how many units we own. And so it was just, frankly, it was just having an honest but respectful conversation. HOA Prez, we had a tenant who refused to leave. When the sheriff showed up, and it turned out he had an out-of-state warrant for carjacking. Yeah, and that's the thing is, for us, it went pretty quick. The guys, listen, you can go one of two ways. If they have something that's outstanding, they can make a mess. If they make a mess, you're in trouble. Why? Why would you want to make a mess? So these guys, have a rap sheet. They could have made it messy. We didn't want to make it messy. That's why we were honest with them and said, hey guys, it's not our call. It's not our call. We just have to work together to help you get your stuff out. But there's going to be a police presence there. We didn't want you to get ambushed. We wanted to make sure you knew. We told them up front. So we respect it. I'm not trying to make the police's job more difficult, but I am trying to make sure that we're just being transparent. I'm not part of a sting. It's not my job. My job is to make sure that the tenant has access to the things that they need to get out of the apartment. The police were given a chance to get access to that unit and take the things that they needed. I'm just the owner of the building. Nothing else has anything to do with me. So I think that, my hope is business people, whether they sell the drugs or whatever they do with them, as a person, that they recognize it had less than nothing to do with me. It really didn't. And so we just try to explain that, and we try to show them that respect and just let them know, hey, listen, we're not trying to blindside you, but just so you know, there's going to be a cop there tomorrow. We understand if that changes something for you, but we want to make sure that we're honest with you, and then let you manage it as you see fit. Omid says, another question. What is your opinion about renting to people without security deposit? No. The laws are so ridiculous in Mass that I think we are better off without it. No, I absolutely will not. I won't do it, because then if they do any damage on the way out, the likelihood that I'm going to recover is basically zero. And I just don't want that. I need the ability I need there to be something there that if they dip on the last month's rent, or if they don't give official notice, fill in the blank. I can't have them dip and me not have any money to go after. Keeps them honest. But that's one reason I wouldn't invest in Mass. Mass does everything backwards, and regardless of who's at fault, they blame the landlord. So that's why I chose 23 years ago, not to invest in Mass. SK, tenant in a single family house. has a kitchen where cabinets, countertops, and sink needs replaced. He says he can do the work if I get him materials. Price is reasonable. Any risk having a tenant do the work? Yes. Fraught with risk. Absolutely. I'd want to see with the work that they've done before. I'd want to actually go visit some of the stuff that he's done before. I would want to see that the quality is actually there. For sure. For sure. And if they say that they're willing to do it, say, this is what I'm willing to pay. Don't give it in months credit. And this is what the deadline is. And I mean, it just opens up the door for you to have to do an eviction and not having gotten paid and having no kitchen in place. And the new cabinets having been stolen. So yeah, SK, tons of risk. HOA Prez, they had an apartment eviction in San Jose with 12 plus guns, 3 kilos of meth, and 100K in cash. Yeah, that's nasty. That's crazy. Crazy says, I thought it was always sex, drugs, and rock and roll. In this particular case, they left out the rock and roll and chose to get an eviction. I much prefer the rock and roll version. Josh Burdick, this will be a good chapter in your book. You guys don't. So there is a book coming, but wait until you see the book. It'll be interesting. Peter, how are you, sir? Fellow New Hampshire landlord here checking in. How are you, sir? Yes, I know. HOA Prez. We have massive over leverage in consumer debt. Auto repos are way up. Yeah. So that will continue to happen. So it's been that way for a couple of years though. And I have a good friend of mine that spent 20 years in business with. His brother's a repo guy and he goes on the repo runs with him, just for fun every couple of weeks. He'll go do a shift with him. And he's like, it's always the same. He's like, it's BMWs. And he goes with $800, $900 payments. And he goes, and it's just one after the next, Adam Defoe, appreciate the late start for us West Coasters. Hello from south of Seattle. All you crazy investors, let's do deals. I agree. Let's do deals. I love this. We're doing deals. I love this. HOA Price, good reason to own assets. Exactly right. Dion over the top with a good reason to own assets. Jack Stewart says, Pens beat Florida. They're going to make me eat my words this year. I'm telling you, Pittsburgh is not a bad team, comparatively speaking. I mean, the Bruins are a hot mess. It's kind of embarrassing. HOA Prez, a 350 credit score has a BMW, an 850 credit score takes the bus. A person was evicted and had a repossession on the same day. Not surprising. See it all the time. On our side of things, that's one of the things that we're kind of concerned about. We don't want to see them driving brand new vehicles. So in many cases, we have 5, 10 people that qualify for the same unit. So if I choose anybody, I'm discriminating against somebody else. That's the way that they see it. The way that I'm doing it is I'm picking the one that I think has the best opportunity for me to not have a problem. And who is that person? Who's that person that's going to give me the best chance to not have a problem? It's going to be somebody that doesn't have a car payment or has a really, really small one. And these are all the things that we see when they apply and we've put them through the process. What is your credit score? Okay, your credit score is super low. Why is it? We have people that have medical debt. We don't factor their credit score. We're just like, hey, if all of your credit card bills and all that other stuff is paid, but your medical debt isn't, like, that's fine. We know that they're going to work that out. But, trying to create a payment plan with a hospital for $50,000, that's a challenging thing. Student loans, it's a little bit different. But still, there is some leeway there because we don't want to put them in a position where they can't afford to pay their bills because their student loan is so high. Like, we still need a debt to income ratio that's in the land of what we would call the land of reason. So that's what's important to us. Our local Section 8 housing authority used to give second chance vouchers for people that lost their vouchers, but those days are gone. Good. Yep. If you lose your Section 8 voucher, then your chances are low in getting one again. So I know that in our state, there's a rule that says if you lose your voucher, it's another year before you can even apply for it. But when you apply for it, you're at the bottom of the list. And our list in most of our areas is between 3 and 5 years. So this is why when we try and work out a deal with a Section 8 tenant, we're like, please don't do this. Please don't do this. Don't do this. Please. You're going to lose your voucher. And if you think it's hard to make ends meet now, when they're paying $1,500 on your behalf, imagine when they're paying $0 on your behalf. Your life is going to change for the much worse. Jacek, northern New Jersey, near New York City, 10 minutes from Newark Airport. I actually know that area. I'm south. I'm going to be in Philly. So Philly, but I'm going into Jersey, but I'm going there from Philly. So maybe next time. I'll try and get out there Fanatics Fest. I think, when's that, next year? I'll try and get out there for Fanatics Fest. HOA Press, AI may be dumb today, but it probably won't be in a couple of years. It's not as dumb as people think. I used to sell AI and RPA. I used to get those systems up and going. Even RPA, robotic process automation, the precursor to AI, was a far better worker than a human was. Think of it this way. A human works 8-9 hours. As they work through their day, they get more and more fatigued. They make more mistakes. That's a fact. When it comes to data entry or clerical error, it can be as low as 4%, as high as 12 to 13%. Think about that. When we would put in what we call a bot, when we would actually train this, how to do this particular person's job, what we found was they could go off and do more important things, sounding very much like Dion. They could go doing more important things that only a human could do. The problem that you have is that as these things got more and more intelligent, they could do a lot more. The issue is that they can work 24/7. They work anywhere from 10 to 50 times faster than a human, thus requiring much lower level of lift. And if you have one bot and you have what we would seeing at the end of my career, we were talking about having a digital workforce. When we would talk about having a digital workforce, what we were really talking about was the fact that you had people that were doing their jobs, and then you had bots that were doing some of the job as well. So we would have what we would call full-on bots that would do the entire process. We had bots that would do only a percentage of the process, i.e. the heavy lifting, and then a human would take the review. But that's where AI is jumping in and it's doing the review, and it can actually take that review and balance it against a million different results, and it can do it like that. That's where the part is that's going to get a lot of people in these types of jobs laid off. And the fact of the matter is, the lower you go on the food chain in a given company, the lower you go, the more likely you are to have issues with attendance, quality of work, drama in life, very often. And I saw it. Up at the executive ranks, you rarely saw it because executives are psychos. I was one. We're psychos. We work all the time. We work through anything. It just is what it is. Very often that is the case. The lower you go, and I get it, their level of commitment isn't there because they could be making $15 an hour, $20 an hour. I get it. But if you can take technology and replace that, that's why you watch. There's going to be a lot more automated fast food places in the next few years because they'll have one person in there for a shift. They'll have somebody managing the robots cooking things. They'll have somebody managing the money being taken. I mean, again, cash is the only problem. That's why people want to move to cashless, right? Is because if everything's a tap of a card or a swipe of a this or a this of a that, that's where all of that's going to change. But think about it this way. Right now, when you might have 13 or 15 people on working for a shift, guess how many you need now? 4, maybe 3. And will you get to a point where you might only need 2? Yeah, you certainly could. So that's where it's going to continue to become more and more of a problem. That's why those kiosks there, you can actually select exactly what you want. Well, now that goes back to a cook that actually looks at the screen and then makes it that way. Do they still make mistakes? Yeah, bet your ass they do. I still see it. However, take it the next step, which is now you have a machine doing that. Machine doesn't get tired. Machine can just go. Machine's not wiping its brow from sweat. So the only thing that you have is you have somebody there managing it. Now, the question is, can you make it interchangeable? Can you make it where if that robot chef actually dies, you need to make sure that you can put another one in place very, very quickly, just like you would a human. So that will continue to change over time. But the first wave is going to be all these analysts that analyze data all the time. When you have the ability to not only farm the data, but then do the research against the data and then compare it to other things that have happened in the past to then create predictive analytics, guess what? You're in trouble. And that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot more. That's why, thousands lose their job at IBM and HR. A lot more of that stuff is coming. And that's why I believe it's going to be a rough next couple of years because there's going to be a feeling out process during that. There's going to be a feeling out process there for sure. But I digress. Robert Fanelli, AI is so smart. Yes, sir. I just baited AI to think that only UTH tokens can be used to push commits to GitHub and that SSH keys won't work. SK, why do you think the YouTubers that were big on real estate, Meet Kevin, Graham Stephan, have almost sold their RE? What's your take on it? Big mistake. How would you have handled those if you were in your shoes? So they were much smaller than I was. That's the first thing. Graham, I want to say that he had 9 properties. So Graham was a lot smaller, and even Meet Kevin, I think he was a lot smaller. But the other thing too is that they both rose to fame in something that they were very good at. They were very good at getting eyeballs, right? So one thing I think we can all agree on, I suck at, is doing YouTube. I'm here to help you guys out. I'm a business guy that does YouTube, not a YouTuber. Both of them are YouTubers, right? And it's not to take anything away from them. They're very smart. The way that they made it a craft, and they really worked at it hard, and they were really good at it, and they got the masses to watch. And so, I remember during the Great Health Event, I still don't know if I'm allowed to say that word, and otherwise it just torches things. But during the Great Health Event, Meet Kevin was doing $2 million a month, $2 million a month. And then he had his courses that he was selling, and then all of this other stuff. Like, there were years that he made over $20 million. Do you need 9 properties then? Or 10 properties or 15 properties? No, you've got a business that's not operating. And that's where things get out of hand, and why people then become guru, right? Where it's because now they're making 20, 25 million bucks a year coaching, but how much of their properties actually making them? That's why, for me, quite frankly, the way that we look at this is, if I'm making more than 5% of my income from courses, I go buy more property, because 90% of my income, because we have other sources of income as well, but 90% of my income comes from the properties. So I'm engaged in my business. And when you guys ask me a question, you're asking that of a fellow operator. We're both operators. I just have a few more units than you in some cases. We're both operators. I'm elite, trying to help you become elite, and still learning things every single day based on the rules and such that change. How can we get better? How can we do more? How can we do more with less? And how can we deliver? Because I'm looking at it this way. I'm looking at, how do I deliver an optimal client experience? Now, there's 3 or 4 tenants that always hate me no matter what. Way it goes. I can't do everything the minute that you ask. You're just going to have to wait your turn, and that's not something you're used to hearing. So that's how I would have handled it if I were in their shoes. If I were in their shoes, like I said, once you get to $25 million a year and you're earning all this income and you have access to all this capital, I think that that's why I do 1 live a week. I couldn't do every morning and every night and all the production, and God bless those guys. Like, that's just not for me. I'm here because I like spending time with you guys, not because I like sitting in front of a camera by any stretch. If you had a face like this, would you want to sit in front of a camera? Be constantly reminded. Kim Bishop, hi friends, just played double speed to catch up. Sounds like a wild week. It was a crazy wild week. Remember, REI is passive. I know, I keep on getting told that all the time. And I can tell you that, thanks to my phone, REI was largely passive this week. I think I was on a few different job sites this week, but nothing crazy. SK, tenants in front unit and back unit keep complaining to me about the other unit not taking garbage bin out during their turn. They're supposed to alternate turns. How can I solve this? Like, give them both swords and have them fight to the death. Like, that's just so silly to me. Like, dear God. Like, honestly, what you can do is, here's what I would do. It's a Solomon moment. Here's what I would do. I would go to them and say, you guys both have problems bringing stuff out when you're supposed to bring it out. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to hire a service. They're going to do it. It's going to be $10 a week. It's going to be $40 a month. And I'll charge you each 20. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. And then one of them's going to go, well, that's ridiculous. I don't want that. The other one's going to go, that's ridiculous. I don't want that. And you're like, well, I can pay you the $40 if you want. And then the other guy gets to pay you $20 because you're doing your part and you're saving your money. So you will find, but that's the Solomon moment right there. See, that's why people come to the boot camp, because that's brilliant right there. I won't lie. That's fire. Taylor Van Briggy. Hey, this is Taylor, Kyle's girlfriend. Hi, Taylor. Thanks for all your help. You're awesome, Taylor. Taylor is exactly the kind of partner that you want to have. she would jump in, she would learn things, she would figure things out. She would certainly make mistakes, but then she would say, okay, that's not the way to do that. Let's do it differently. I remember every single week when she was showing up for boot camp, she was asking questions about, well, how do I do this? And how do I do this? And this is how I did it. And is that okay? Is that going to work? I loved being a part of her project. One of those or two of those properties that she remodeled, felt like I got to be a part of her project. So she's an amazing partner. Kyle is very lucky to have a partner like that because she just goes in elbows deep, and she is a hard worker. She's a conscientious worker, and she does the work, and she's willing to ask the question. And I have the utmost respect for you, Taylor. I think you're absolutely awesome. Key. Hello, everyone. Good evening, Matt. Hi, sir. How are you? HOA Prez, BMW, broke man walking. I had a BMW. I had two BMWs. One of them I loved. Actually, I loved both of them. But the culture I didn't like. I didn't like the culture at all about it. Like getting the car fixed and the conversation with the BMW places and how you need to, take care of this like it's a son. I don't want a car like that. Unless your name is Lamborghini. SK, in your career, were you ever tempted to start a business yourself instead of your W-2, given you had good sales skills outside of being an investor? No, because I can open up a company. It could open up a company anytime I wanted. Most of the things that entrepreneurs know is that when you are only an employee, you get bothered far less than when you're an entrepreneur. And yes, there's the upside. But what I realized I wanted was my job, something I really enjoyed, something I had fun at, something I was really good at. And when I say really good, let me better qualify. For 24 years, I was the number one rep in every company that I ever worked in. I was always the best in the world at doing that thing. And so I was elite. That's where I came up with the terminology elite. Now, was it because I was smarter than everybody else? No. Was I smarter than most? Sure. And just being honest, was I harder working than everybody else? Yeah, basically. I worked harder than anybody else did. I would give up late nights and weekends, and they would go off partying and taking vacations. I went 6 years straight without taking vacations. I went 2 years where I worked every single day. I had a total of 7 days off in 2 years. 7 days off. And I'm not talking like, oh, well, I touched something today for an hour. No, like legitimately worked 10, 12 hours for 2 years. I had 7 days off. Pretty sure I was sick those days. And many days I was sick and I still worked. So I don't regret it for 1 second. It gave me the life. I was extremely blessed to have the job that I had, extremely blessed to work with the people that I did. And the type of job that I had, it allowed me to stay really focused on that. But then on the weekends or late at night, I could go fix something and I could work with the other side of my brain. And that's what I really enjoyed about it. Being able to problem solve and do all that work, and very, that side of the brain, and then being able to go swing a hammer or rip a door apart or rip a wall apart or, lead some wires or whatever, all of that stuff. It was just a different part of the brain. So it was much more enjoyable, or it was a way for me to kind of unwind and disconnect. And quite frankly, I solved plenty of problems doing that as well. So yeah, I felt like I built a business. I self-manage, and I built, quite frankly, one of the best run companies you'll find in property management. I run everything from my phone. I have 150 something units. I have 53 buildings. I have one employee. One. Who else is doing that volume with one employee? This many people. Most of the people that we look at, they have 3 to 5 employees per 100 units. We don't have that. We have one. And he doesn't work 74 hours a day either. Like, he puts in 40 to 45 hours a week, and we manage that's why what I teach in the course is so valuable, is that I teach you exactly our blueprint and how we do it, how everything is automated. That's the key. It's automation, automating every single step in the process that puts you in a position where the touch to get something done is very, very minimal. That's the key. Robert Farinelli, AI is good. It's just not going to wipe out devs. It won't wipe out devs. I agree. I guess if you want to call cutting off entry-level positions, then I guess so. Yeah. It'll cut off entry-level positions, but AI will continue to get better and better. But there was still, in all likelihood, unless we're looking at a Terminator scenario, in all likelihood, you're always going to have some devs developing it, pushing it, and managing it. doing the things that need to be done. So I don't think it goes to zero. I just think it goes vastly reduced. And we know this because, Mark Benioff, one of the largest software companies in the world, said he's not hiring any more engineers. Doesn't need to hire any more devs. It just needs to get better at not being baited and not hallucinate. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem that we're all scared of, though. That's what I was certainly concerned with. I was like, it's not hugely impossible to set this thing down the wrong path. SK, a tenant is behind on rent. They asked agency and city that assists with rent payment, but there's a wait list. Should I serve a 3-day? Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, we serve. If they are not paying, they serve right away. Period. We serve right away. Period. End of story. Then take that and go anywhere you possibly can to try and get the help that you need, but the help's not coming from us. Let's see. Hold on a second. Here we go. Taylor saying, I know Pineda and Zuber are boys, but Pineda is talking his own book. He has massive monthly nut and is chasing the next hot thing to keep the lights on. Yeah, so I don't know that he's like, so Taylor, just to brutal honesty, I have no idea what his finances are. Don't care what his finances are. But everything that he's done so far has been phased, right? It's like, I did this, I went hard, made a bunch of money doing it, and now I'm doing something else. I did this, I went hard, made a bunch of money, and now I'm doing something else. And so, I don't know what you would call that. That's up to you to interpret what you would call it or not. But for me, I've just done real estate. I mean, I've done the software thing, did it really well, super successful. I've done other little things, but those little things were for my enjoyment. And the real estate thing was too, but then it grew to a big size. If I stopped enjoying it tomorrow, I would just sell everything. I would just find a big buyer that's looking to buy a portfolio. And I would say, I'll sell everything. Or I would call my agent and say, all right, let's list them, 5 at a time. And get those 5 under contract. And then the next month we list 5 more at a time. And then we start doing price reductions. Like, I could easily ease out of my portfolio if that was something to do. I was having conversations with somebody about it just because I was interested in what they had to say. And I was like, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to walk away from, but I still enjoy it. There's parts of it that I still really enjoy. There's certain parts I don't really enjoy, but that's when you hire somebody to take the parts that you really don't enjoy. Most of it I enjoy. HOA price. Fast food is almost totally automated in California because minimum wage is $20 an hour. Yeah, it's not that much less here. It's 18. So our minimum wage is $7.50, but ask me how many people actually do that. Almost everybody pays $18 an hour starting wage here. Yeah, so we're not a cheap state. Peter used Grok AI to look up late fee law in Mass and gave me the wrong answer. Google AI Gemini gave me the correct answer of 30 days. Still some work to do on the AI front, but quickly getting there. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. You did the right thing though, checking both. I think that's really smart. Cerveza sickness, is YouTube acceptable? Omid, thank you very much for your insights, Matt. We appreciate your knowledge. Guys, I'm always happy to spend time with you guys. I hate it when I miss this. That's why in 4 years, I think I've missed like 4 of these. I don't miss them very often. And it's almost always because I've tried my damnedest to make sure it happened and then just couldn't put it together. I was on a plane or, this, that, or the other, or had left my laptop on a plane, couldn't do it. That happened once. But yeah, I love the community that we have. I appreciate all the help that you guys are and letting me be a part of your journey. Honestly, my 100 and something deal, it's nice, but I much rather help you guys and be a part of what you were doing. It was an awesome opportunity, whether it was, Chris Culp or Peter Farinelli or Chester or, Kyle and Taylor. Being a part of so many people's successes, it's a lot of fun. Like that's what I enjoy. So when you guys take a picture of something and it's something that I helped with, whether it was answering a question or something like that, that's what I do this for. Honestly, that's what I do it for. So think of that if you would, when you're doing something and I taught you something or it was helpful to you, even just perspective, take a picture, if it's on Instagram and, I will certainly answer back because I appreciate I remember what it's like to be in that beginning. I remember what it's like to be in that phase. I remember how scary it was to figure out how we're going to grow, how we're going to manage, how we're going to do the things that we need to be able to do. Almost went bankrupt 3 times. Had well over $100,000 in credit card debt. And we found 8 paying tenants to 3 paying tenants to 1 paying tenant in 60 days. We did it. Those times might happen again. And if they do, that's what I'm trying to set you guys up for. So that you have a bulletproof business that, sure, it might hurt and sure you're going to take the pain, but it doesn't put you out of business. And that's the thing, is you only have to live to fight another day. Key. I feel you, Matt. After taking over a coffee shop 2 years straight, no day off, open to close, no vacation, but I would do it again if I am young again. Absolutely. That's exactly right. That's why it's like I use those times, because people were like, "Oh, you really didn't enjoy your 20s." I was like, I did. I loved it. I loved winning. You get addicted to winning. I got to be honest. I got really addicted to winning. I loved winning. And that's why I worked a lot, because I loved winning and winning over and over and over and over again, and being the best at something. That I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And so to that end, like he said, though, but I wouldn't want to be doing that in my 50s and my 60s. I'm in my late 40s now. I'm a year and a half away from 50. Yeah, no joke. Year and a half away from 50. I've led an awesome life. I'm blessed with an amazing life and amazing kids, great friends, and a phenomenal community that allows me to be a part of it. It's ours, and we get to talk about these things and make each other better. So that way we can deliver a better experience for our tenants. And the end result is you get to spend more time with your family. You get more of your time back as you get later in this journey. Automate the cooking of the food, but quality people up front to touch the customers. I don't care what flips that burger, but I hate those dang kiosks. That I completely understand. They will get better. The thing that I love about them is we want that consistency, right? I want to stop getting bad orders from the back. Robert Farinelli, AI hallucination means that AI will almost never say, "I don't know." Yes, exactly. It will fill in any blanks with given information, even if it's wrong. True story. Yep. Nicole Weigel, how long did you get a property stabilized in the beginning? When would you buy the next deal? That's a great question. So, Nicole, fantastic question as always. Really for me, stabilizing a property was really understanding, okay, we've got a good tenant in place. We know that they pay on time. So now we can, take some of the money back that we put in, but we can also start to make our plan for other things that we want to do to then optimize the asset. So how long did it take to stabilize? I would say, up to a year. I would say it would take up to a year to really get the thing stable, where the tenant's paying consistently, the types of repairs that come up in the 4 different seasons. Like for us, when we had that minus 37 degrees, we had only 3 buildings out of our 40 something at the time. 3 buildings out of our 40 something at the time. I actually have to recount, honestly, because we bought a bunch. So what's really interesting is, as we kind of looked at that process, I said, it could have been way worse. Like we had 3 buildings and it was a nightmare, and we worked 2 days straight through the night, the whole 9 yards, cutting lines, plugging things. Like, oh my goodness, it was a nightmare. So we did that. What I would tell you that I thought was really interesting is we only had those issues in 3 buildings. Well, we fixed all those issues in those buildings. And because we fixed all those issues in those buildings, the next year we didn't get minus 37, but we got, minus 5 and 10 for about a week. And we only had 1 issue. And the 1 issue is basically tenant caused, because they left a door open in an area. And so it was blowing on the pipe, and boom, there you go. So we really don't have the issues all that often, which is really a huge win for us. It's really, really good. So yeah. So from that perspective, it could take you up to a year to stabilize. It's really about, the tenant being in there, the tenant paying consistently, understanding what, problems really exist when a person's moving, when a person's now in the unit, living in the unit, using the thing in the unit. Then is, okay, am I buying cheap junk and they're breaking it, or are they just too abusive on materials? But you start to figure that out, and that might take 6 months to a year to figure out. And then you can start to make those plans of, okay, now how do I optimize this asset? It's like, okay, well, there's a 3.8 gallon flush toilet there. I need to get that down to a 1.2. These are the little things you can then look around and say, I can improve this asset. I can reduce my cost of owning it. And boom, then you're off and running. You just boost my ego. Good. That's perfect. And that wasn't even my goal. York, PA. I love your success. Congratulations. Best wishes to you and your family. I'm in my 60s now. I'm so glad I took a very similar journey. I appreciate you saying that very much, York, PA. Welcome. Good to have you here. Yeah, been very blessed. And, we started having kids late. I mean, guys, I'm almost 50 and I have a 2-year-old who kicks my butt, and she's awesome. She's the kindest, nicest little kid. And my son's that too. My 2 middle daughters, don't cross them. They'll cut you. They're awesome. They're a different kind of awesome. Jason Calzbetter, we're the same age, aka old. Yeah, true story. I'm old. Yeah, I'm old. I got carded in Vegas. They're like, can I see your license? And I was like, did I do something? Like, we need age verification. I said, I'm not gonna, dude, I'm not drinking. I don't drink, but okay. I was like, here you go. I was like, here you go. Yeah. It's true. It's kind of crazy. Oh, excuse me. Kim Bishop, can you remind me which property management software you use for collecting rents, managing maintenance requests, looking to switch things up? Kim, who are you using now? I'd love to know that. Nicole Weigel, thanks. You boost my ego. You're welcome. Laura, small 2-1 duplex, what toilet size would you put in? The toilets that I want to use now, as far as optimization goes, I want to use something that's a 1.2 gallons per flush. Most of the older toilets could be as much as 5. They were usually in the 4s or high 3s. Then they came out with stuff that was in the low 3s, and they came out with stuff that was in the high 2s, but they didn't properly change the chambering. I mean, where else can you dork out on toilets? Right here. They didn't change the chambering, and so you would get a lot more clogs. That's when Gerber invented the Viper 2 toilet. Now it's just called the Gerber Viper because there's no 2 needed. They got rid of the 1, and now it's just the Gerber Viper toilet. But they changed the outlet pipe on that toilet, and so you can get that toilet in a 1.2 gallons per flush, and very, very rarely do you have a problem. And if you ever do, because they basically made it bigger, which was smarter. But if you ever do have a problem, you might need a double flush where you're still at 2.4. But you never need that for, and if you do the math, right? If you have like a 4-bedroom and you figure, okay, that thing's going to get flushed 10 times a day, and then that's going to be 300 times in a month, and each time it was using, 5 gallons, well, that's a pretty big number now, right? That's 1,500 gallons of water. That's probably $150 just from you flushing your toilet. Well, now if you get down to about a gallon a flush and you're 300 times in a month, well, guess what? Now you're 300 gallons. And now you're talking about a water bill that's a fifth the size. So now you're looking at a $150 water bill, where we have really expensive water here. Not looking at a $150 water bill anymore. You're looking at a $30 or $40 water bill. It's probably gonna be a little bit higher because you're going to have some of your costs for like your metering and things like that, but it's $50 instead of $150. That's how crazy it gets. Kim Bishop, for my single family house, I switched to Zillow payments, self-managed, looking at switching my boyfriend's 8 doors to self-management instead of using a property manager because they're dumb. That's very true. And that's the other thing too, is, one of the things that, that we're going to spend a lot more time talking about is that your property managers are stealing from you. Sorry if you're a property manager, but your property managers are stealing from you. What time did this start? Freedom Works. Good to see you. This started at 9:00 Eastern time. This is an Eastern time show, but I do it that late so West Coasters can come and hang out. But it starts on the East Coast at 9 p.m. But to Kim's point, yeah, your property managers are stealing from you. They just are. Are you so close to this person that you want to give them more than what you get paid for owning the asset? That's what we're talking about. I studied a bunch of different properties for friends of mine. I looked at it and I was like, dude, do you know that you're paying them more than you're getting paid on your own asset? Well, yeah, but they do all the work and it's all your money, capital, and risk. Okay. Welcome to an employee answer and not an executive answer, not an owner answer. And that's what we do. That's what we talk a lot about in the course. That's where we spend our time. Because again, remember, you buy here, you manage here. You buy here, you manage here. You're going to buy. And if you even buy a bad property, if you can properly manage that and keep your head above for just a couple of years, you got another 18 that you might hold it. I have assets that I've owned for 20 years. I have assets that I've owned that long. And the cool thing is that they are so steady state and they are so couple phone calls a year type of thing where it's just like, and the crazy thing is, I have some duplexes that have $1,400 mortgages on them, where now rent on one side is $2,100 and rent on the other side is $3,000. Like I literally have duplexes because of that, because of the period of time. Nothing special that I did. This is the economy of time. That's the position that's put me where I literally can have a duplex that's making over $3,000 a month net. And the house is dialed in. It's gotten all the stuff done that needed to get done. We did it right when we built it back. We built it back better. And now for 15, 18 years since we redid the property, we just don't get requests. We don't have issues. And it's a beautiful thing. Oh, it's beautiful. And that's the same thing that I wish for all you guys. So we went a little long today, but it's okay. There was a lot to unpack. There was a lot of news. Guys, if you think that you're hearing from people that are struggling with evictions, we talked a lot about this. Evictions, not addictions. Maybe it's an addiction to buying property. Send this to them. Send this link to them. Show them that they've not seen the worst, that there's absolutely ways to manage through this. We want to give people hope, because the biggest, most discouraging things to me is, that's why it's discouraging, is I don't want to see people quit the business. You've done so many of the hard things. You've found the property. You've done a bunch of the work, and people get fatigued over time. I might look tired, but I'm not. I just don't sleep well because I'm always excited about the next thing that we're doing. So huge opportunity. Would love to see you guys. Would love to see you guys, continue to do your thing, but I'd love being a part of it. And I thank you for that. Freedom Works. So this is every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. I find you hard to find for some reason. I am hard to find because the algorithm doesn't really like me. Click subscribe and turn on notifications. YouTube alerts me when the lumberjack landlord is starting his live stream. That's true. It does alert her. And the funniest, best part is that sometimes she still doesn't show up. I don't take a personal affront to that. It's okay. Sounds like a slogan for a presidential campaign. Yeah, almost does, right? But yeah, there's the opportunity for so many people to don't give up. Just don't give up. Invest in yourself. Learn from somebody. It doesn't have to be from me, but invest in yourself. Learn from somebody that's elite at what you're trying to do. Do it. It will be the best investment in yourself you ever made. If you spent any amount of money on college, that's just silly. That's just silly that you would question that, right? This is, whether it's me or another investor, it's minimal, but do it with somebody that's active. This is my rules. These are my rules. Do it with somebody that's active. Number one, do it with somebody that's doing things that's doing many of the things the way that you want to do them. And number three is make sure that when you're doing it, that you're active in participation. Our boot camps are phenomenal. They are absolutely a blast. We get to be a part of a bunch of other people's deals for 12 weeks. Hear all the stuff that they're doing, where mistakes are being made, how to correct them, how to manage through them. It's just, I can't say enough. Jeffrey White. Hey, thanks for the super chat, pal. I appreciate you. Good evening. Joining late, networking with other investors. Lumberjack needs to be on BP. BP. Will boot camp start this Saturday or next week? I believe it's going to be next week, just because we want to give the people that just joined, we want to make sure that they can join. And I know that there's, like I said, 3 more people that just joined. And so I think it's going to be a week from Saturday, because tomorrow's already Friday. So I think it's going to be a week from Saturday. Mick. Thanks. You're welcome. Sarah Manning, great nuggets. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Good night. You guys have an amazing rest of your evening. And I will see you guys in the next one. I don't know if there's anything that's going to be coming up over the course of this weekend, but I'll be on Zoom. Don't forget Dion, 4:00 Pacific time on Tuesdays. 4:00 Pacific time on Tuesdays. The big, beautiful, bald man. And keynote speaker at Bigger Pockets. Don't forget him. He's awesome. He can help you guys out, certainly having conversations and mindset and things like that. He's an amazing teacher. But yeah, if you want to get elite at something, follow somebody that's doing exactly what you want to do. And did I have to grow to 150 units? No, I didn't, but it was kind of easy. My first 10 were way harder than my next 30. But it's because I set up systems, processes, and pathways. I managed it all from my phone. We didn't have an employee until we hit 140 units. We didn't have one employee. Everything was done through contractors. Yep. Just saying. I know you guys can do it. Have a great rest of your week. Kick some ass. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye.